For what purpose does the gentleman from Colorado seek recognition?
Mr. Speaker, I move to suspend the rules and pass the bill H.R. 2388.
The clerk will report the title of the bill.
Union Calendar number 243, H.R. 2388. A bill to take certain federal land in the state of Washington into trust for the Lower Elwha Klallam Tribe and for other purposes.
Pursuant to the rule, the gentleman from Colorado, Mr. Crank, and the gentlewoman from Washington, Ms. Randall, will each control 20 minutes. The chair recognizes the gentleman from Colorado.
Mr. Speaker, I ask unanimous consent that all members have 5 legislative days to revise and extend their remarks and to include extraneous materials on H.R. 2388, the bill now under consideration.
Without objection.
Mr. Speaker, I yield myself such time as I may consume.
The gentleman is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I rise in support of H.R. 2388, the Lower Elwha Klallam Tribal Project Lands Restoration Act, sponsored by Congresswoman Randall. H.R. 2388 would take approximately 1,083 acres of National Park Service land into trust for the Lower Elwha Klallam Tribe. The tribe is located within the Olympic Peninsula in northwest Washington and has approximately 984 enrolled members. The tribe signed the Treaty of Point No Point in 1855, which entitled them to share a small reservation not on their traditional lands. After signing the treaty, most tribal members opted not to live on their reservation, instead choosing rivers, shorelines, and sites of their ancestral burial grounds. Through the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934, the federal government acquired 372 acres of land and assigned it to 14 families in the tribe. In 1968, the tribe received federal recognition, which included the acres given to the families. As a result of federal recognition, the Lower Elwha Reservation was formally established for the tribe. The approximately 1,083 acres of National Park Service land in this legislation were acquired in the 1990s through the Elwha River Ecosystems and Fisheries Restoration Act. The act required the National Park Service to identify lands to be transferred to the Lower Elwha Klallam Tribe for housing, cultural, or economic development purposes and place them into trust. I urge support for this bill, and I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentleman reserves. The gentlewoman from Washington is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I rise today in strong support of my bill, the Lower Elwha Klallam Tribe Projects Land Restoration Act. Thank you to Chair Westerman and Subcommittee Chairman Hurd for their partnership in bringing this important legislation to the floor. I'm deeply honored to serve on the House Natural Resources Committee and the Subcommittee on Indian and Insular Affairs and to represent a district that is home to 12 federally recognized tribes. Tribes that have led the nation in co-stewardship, climate resilience, and ecosystem restoration. Each time this Congress gathers to address land restoration and treaty reserved rights, we are doing incredibly meaningful work, not only alongside the tribes that we serve, but in service of the integrity of our federal government's commitments. I also want to extend a special thank you to Chairwoman Frances Charles of the Lower Elwha Klallam Tribe for testifying before the committee earlier this year on this bill. Chairwoman Charles has spent her career protecting the Lower Elwha's culture, preserving their language, and ensuring that treaty-reserved hunting and fishing rights remain. It strengthens the restoration of the Elwha watershed, which is one of the most iconic examples of climate resilience and ecological recovery anywhere in the country. This bill recognizes that the Lower Elwha people have lived on and cared for this land since time immemorial. Transferring land into trust is one of the most impactful actions the United States can take to deliver on trust and treaty obligations. It is one of the clearest ways we can demonstrate respect for tribal sovereignty and return land to the stewardship of the people who know it best. This bill is straightforward and it is long overdue. It aligns our policies with our values and honors the community that has spent decades repairing the damage caused by a federal infrastructure that was built without tribal consent. As someone who has the honor of representing the Lower Elwha Klallam Tribe, I'm proud to lead this legislation alongside Senators Cantwell and Murray. And I recognize the dedication of my predecessor, Representative Derek Kilmer, who championed this bill in past Congresses prior to his retirement last year. Chairwoman Charles' leadership has been essential to one of the most ambitious restoration projects in our country's history, the removal of the two dams on the Elwha River, the largest dam removal project of our nation's history at the time, and the healing of a river system that has been blocked for a century. Just this year, we celebrated an anniversary of the river being free, the return of the salmon through canoe journey, an endeavor in which tribal canoe families journey from around the Salish Sea and British Columbia to come to land, to celebrate, to commemorate their history, and to promise to preserve the land, water, and ecosystem for generations forward, 7 generations forward. This legislation is an important piece of that puzzle, transferring approximately 1,082 acres of federal land into trust for the Lower Elwha Klallam Tribe. These lands, once tied to federal hydroelectric projects, lands acquired during the dam removal process, lands that include cultural sites, historic villages, and ecological areas directly connected to the tribe's stewardship of the Elwha River. Placing these lands into trust is not just a procedural act. It is a promise fulfilled, and it affirms the tribe's sovereign right to protect and manage sacred sites for generations to come. I urge my colleagues to join me in moving this bill forward so we can take the final step in returning these lands to the Lower Elwha people. I reserve the balance of my time.
The gentlewoman reserves. The gentleman from Colorado is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, I have no request for time, and I'm prepared to close. I continue to reserve.
The gentleman reserves. The gentlewoman from Washington is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I urge all of my colleagues to support this legislation, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentlewoman yields. The gentleman from Colorado is recognized.
Mr. Speaker, H.R. 2388 takes approximately 1,083 acres of National Park Service land into trust for the Lower Elwha Klallam Tribe. I thank Ms. Randall for her work on this legislation. I urge the adoption of the bill, and I yield back the balance of my time.
The gentleman yields. The question is, will the House suspend the rules and pass the bill H.R. 2388? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no. In the opinion of the chair, 2/3 being in the affirmative. The rules are suspended, the bill is passed, and without objection, the motion to reconsider is laid on the table.